Yeah, good morning all. Welcome to Advanced Prelims Enrichment course. So first, let me get an idea because we'll talk about overall prelims exam in general, and then we'll get to the polity subject in particular. Okay, but correct. Please tell me how many of you have already given prelims, maybe this year or previous year, whatever. How many have you attempted? I mean, already given attempt. Okay, fine. At least some 20-30%. So, what were your range of scores? Okay, even if you don't want to tell the range of scores, what did you feel was the challenging part? Like, because broadly, if you have seen, this year relatively prelims was easy. You might have, if you have seen the PYQs of 22, 23, all those things, relatively question paper was easy. That's why obviously what they're expecting the cutoff to be in which range now? At least 90s, it will be there. Will it cross 100 or not? That's not sure. Probably it will be somewhere in the mid of 90s. Last year, how much was the cutoff? 78, 75. Yeah, whatever, 70s range. I think 22 also, so 23 also. So that simply indicates, obviously, relatively, it had become easy. So even within that, just for you to have a broader idea, so that to understand about prelims in general, I am telling you, obviously the details of the subjects we'll get into that later. Now, if you take the base year is 2013 for us, because 2013 is when UPSC introduced the new syllabus and all those things. From 2013 to 2024, if you take on an average, let's say around 12 prelims might have been there or 11 prelims. So this is my analysis. Broadly, you can divide it into like kind of three phases. Fine. So like the first phase of 2013 to 2017 actually was, if you have seen the PYQs of 2013, 14, 15, everything, obviously even you would have felt this is very easy. Direct question, you would have felt that. Because the reason is questions were also like that. Basic conceptual clarity, if you had a very high chance of getting 100 plus, 100 plus, 110 plus. There were people who used to, even during that time, 130, 140, 150 also people used to get, almost till 130, 140. Because very more or less direct questions, or okay, even a little bit analytical also is, if you had a core conceptual clarity, very easy to attempt. And the number of basic questions was used to be in 40 to 50 range, means 45, 47, 48. So on an average around 50 basic question means at least we can say 90 or probably 100 marks was from basics. Fine, and that too very basic conceptual clarity they used to test. That's the reason cutoff used to be, have you seen the cutoffs? So it used to be around 110, 2016 I think it was 116. 2017 also was somewhere around in hundreds, 105 or 106, something like that. So that indicates the number of basic questions is the key. More is the number of basic question, high is the cutoff. Less is the number of basic question, less is the cutoff. Then 2018, if you have seen the paper, now you don't feel like very difficult paper, but considering that year 2018 actually was a kind of what shift in the paper. The way the questions has been asked, they made it a little more factual part. So they asked questions from unknown areas, means less focused areas also they started to ask questions. Other NCRTs they started to, like post-independence India questions, all those things they started to ask. That's why 2018 if you have seen, I think cutoff came down to less than 100, somewhere around 95 I think. And number of basic question was in 30s. 40s basic question came to what? 30s, from 2018 to 2020 you can say. 3 years it was in that range. That's why cutoff used to be in 90s. See, hundreds came down to 90s then, or 90s came down to 80s. Now if you have seen the last 3 years, 21 to 2023, 21, 22, 23, the number of basic questions actually came down to somewhere around 25 to 30. That's why if you look at the cutoff, it has come down to what? It has come down to 70s. And of course, the additional factor for that is what? CSAT became almost till 2020, CSAT was a qualifying paper. You had a very basic hold on the basic arithmetic, what do you call it, this quant, English and all those things. Very easy to get 80, 90, 100, you can easily score. But if you have seen 21 to 23 paper, I don't have to explain, you might be victims of that also. Fine, so look at how they changed the CSAT paper. So from qualifying paper, they literally made it as what? Elimination paper. So whoever neglected that a bit, almost all of them have been eliminated. You might have seen that people who scored 90s, 100s also, they failed in CSAT. So both the factors cumulatively brought down the cutoff to 70s. What you have to again understand is, sir, despite so many institutions, despite so many revisions of NCRTs, magazines, this, that, everything, just imagine out of 200, 75 is the cutoff. So it is not because the paper is very, very difficult. Yes, that is also a factor. I am not saying no. The core reason is syllabus is not clearly defined in prelims paper, or if you have seen the UPSC notification, you go and look at again your prelims syllabus. Broadly, it is like what? Issues related to Indian polity, governance, social justice. What do you mean by it? Issues related to environment, sustainable development. What do you mean by it? How do you take it? Issues related to Indian economy, something like that they would have given. Post-independence India, this, that. There is no clarity in the prelims syllabus. That is the major factor prelims has become like this. Very, very uncertain. The same logic you apply to mains and see. In mains, just recall your GS syllabus. How detailed is it? Just recall your your optional related syllabus. Almost everything is clearly defined. One GS2 paper itself has around 20 subtopics. GS3 paper also almost has around 18 or 19 subtopics. So on an average, because when you have 19 or 20 subtopics, what UPSC will do? More or less from every subtopic, they will ask a question. So 20 subtopics, 20 questions. 18 subtopics, 20 questions. So there is lot of clarity in mains. That's why any year you look at mains, you will not find paper to be very, very drastic. Yes, they may make it a little more broad. If you have seen this mains, people who have written were telling it's more generalistic, it is more broad. But the core areas are still the same. You can easily still generate content. Addressing the demand in the time frame might be a challenge, agreed. But drastic change in the paper will not be there. Like out of box, remember, as they keep telling, why are they asking this kind of question? Maybe maximum 2 or 3. But prelims, just imagine how many questions they can ask like that. The reason is lack of detailed syllabus for prelims in the UPSC notification. So that you should understand the game first. If you understand that games, relatively rules of the game you should understand, then it is easy to relatively play the game. Clear, that is one aspect. So the core point is what then? What is your hold on the basic concepts? Almost if it is, let us say 35 basic questions are there, you should be able to get at least 30 correct. If possible 32, 33 correct. Because their uncertainty is less. More or less it is like direct. Yes, sometimes they play with the language and all those things, agreed. 1, 2, maximum 3 questions like that in basics. If you get minimum 30 out of 35 correct, or let's say 50 basic questions are there, 45 plus correct, you have already cleared prelims. Let us say out of 40 basic questions, you are getting 25 correct, 15 wrong, 28 correct, 12 wrong, you have already given up the game to UPSC. Because the rest you have to score the 20 or 25 marks in which one? Very, very uncertain. You can't call it as current affairs also, you can't call it, you can, whatever you can call, but it is very uncertain the rest of the questions. Fine, even you are taking a guess, everybody else is taking a guess, it may go, luck, it almost has come down to luck. So that's why game should be always on, please don't fall behind content. That's the biggest thing in your entire UPSC, even for prelims. Make sure that your core content is strong, basic conceptual clarity. Let them try to confuse with any kind of language, this, that, sentences. You should be so sure that you're like, absolutely, I know this is the answer. If you have that level of clarity, automatically assume you're going to write mains. Because again, simple logic you have to understand, even in the video also I told, but on an average, if you have seen 10 lakh people appear for the exam, apply for the exam, but actually that number doesn't matter. If in case you still have number game in mind, let us say around 5 lakh people appear for the exam, number doesn't matter. Because most of them have just applied for the exam, they just came for the exam for the sake of it. They are not in the competition. Competition will be maximum you can, maybe 1.5 lakh, probably less than that also. So competition means what? Someone who has been preparing consistently for at least 1 year, 1.5 years. Someone who has revised their basics like NCERTs or core reference book at least some 10 times before getting into the prelims exam hall. Someone who is very, practiced their 3-hour mock test multiple times. For the prelims, if you take the 2-hour, the CSAT, this, that, whatever it is, and someone who is very clear about how to handle those 2 hours. How to handle means, right, the skill part, like how many rounds will you come, when will you address, how many number of questions will you attempt, when will you mark OMR, each and every single detail, you should have visualized it. So because content is just one part, remember, how to handle those 2 hours is the biggest part. Most of you might have felt, whenever you're giving the first prelims, you would have felt that, sir, I was not able to handle pressure. At the end, I marked a lot of questions because I felt I have attempted only in 70s. I thought at least 85 I should attempt, 90 I should attempt. You might have felt, most of you might have followed that also, because under pressure, At the end 5-10 minutes, a lot of people just mark 5 questions or 10 questions, sometimes 15 questions. And if you observe, most of it go wrong if you have marked it at the end. So that handling those 2 hours is the biggest skill. Content is just one part. Ultimately, remember, you are handling almost the topmost exam of the country. So it's a huge mind game. You have to win it in the mind. Yes, you have to read, you have to write, attempt a mock test, you have to have your strategy, you have to everything is there. Mind game is the biggest thing here. You fall for pressure. You could have put huge effort. You might have seen in libraries, you might have seen so many seniors who are very consistent in their preparation, will be very good in their basic conceptual clarity also, but they might not be clearing prelims for 3 to 4 attempts. There are so many you might have, I don't have to explain, you would have come across so many people like that. Reason is, subconsciously you have to win here. It's a huge mind game. You lose it there, you do whatever you want, in the exam hall you will fall for pressure. So that's a overall, that's why they keep telling, you have to put the maximum effort in your preparation, but when you go to exam hall, you should attempt like as if it's like another exam. The moment you take it as it's an UPSC exam, this, that, over assumptions will come into mind. Even though the statement is telling something else, you will assume what? Oh, maybe UPSC will not ask this. Maybe there is some other logic here. Over assumptions, because that's how mind works in under extreme pressure. All those we need to address. Getting a broader idea, right? Yeah, another aspect is obviously what matters is what? You have to cost benefit, you have to always keep it in mind. Because if you don't keep cost benefit ratio in mind and just keep reading, it's going to be impossible because there is no limit for content here. As always, for almost 6-7 years, if you have seen previous 6-7 years, we normally used to tell only polity, economy and environment. Now, in the last 1 or 2 years, you can say geography has made a kind of comeback. Though it's not basic conceptual geography, but the mapping related, this, that, all combinedly, whatever. So, polity, economy, geography, of course, you can add which one? Environment. These 4 will remain the core subjects. You have to put a lot of effort here. At least 40 questions, you will get it from here itself. Especially polity, economy, basic concepts, if you miss out, any which year you might have seen, minimum 30 questions, you will get it from both. And polity and economy are such subjects where you study day in, day out. Your entire Hindu paper is what? 70-80% is those 2 only. Out of the 30-35 basic questions, if you get 10 wrong, already you have given up the game. Sir, I'll get all the environment correct. Have you seen environment questions? Sir, I'll get ancient medieval correct. Can you get it correct? All of them. I will look at the nature of the question because the nature of the subject is a challenge. Sir, I'll get art and culture correct. Can you get art and culture correct? All of them. Romila Thapar also cannot get it correct because the nature of the subject is like that. Problem is with the nature. Polity and economy, at least core concepts is there. They have to ask it from the same core textbooks. Of course, they can make it a little application oriented, all those things agreed. But if you are strong in very core content, you can easily eliminate. So that's why please identify those things and focus more on that. Don't fall just behind mere content. And strategy aspects, like for example, sir, how should I handle those 2 hours, everything? You take inputs from anybody, from your mentors, from your faculties, from YouTube toppers, seniors, anybody you take, plus you please test it. What works for you, works for you. So don't imitate someone else's strategy. Test it and then identify your strengths and weakness and make the strategy accordingly. If you just try to follow someone else, absolutely it is not going to work in the real-time hall. Understood? And so many, of course, over a period we'll discuss, you should have a very broad mind. I mean, when you go to the exam hall, you should go with a very broad mind. In other words, don't assume that, okay, polity minimum 15 questions will be there, economy minimum 15 will be there, geography and environment combinedly 20-25 will be there. Don't assume anything. Because look at modern India questions. From the last 3-4 years, how many modern India questions? Probably less than 5 or maybe less than that also. 2-3, it has come down to that level. On an average, it used to be at least around 10, 8 to 10. It has come down to less than 5. This year they may increase, 25 they may increase, they may bring it back to 10 or maybe 12 also. Or they may continue with the same. So you have to go with a very broad approach. Don't assume anything because core point you have to understand, UPSC is known for surprises. So for a surprise exam, if you assume and go, so there is no match. You have to go with a broad mind. That's the major key. And another point you have to keep it in mind, it is a generalist exam. Generalist means understand, right? The intention is to identify people who have understanding from multiple dimensions. It is not about your depth of understanding, it is about your range. Range means understand, right? Broadly everything you should be knowing. Understand? So that's why remember they keep telling that you have to be not the master of all. Here you have to be what? Jack of all trades. You know something about everything. That kind of an attitude only they are expecting. So that's why you, even when you go for the about elimination or which one you have to choose, also you should think broadly. Never try to do PhD in any particular topic. Clear? Another very most important one is curiosity. Curiosity, especially, it was important from long time also, but in the last 3-4 years that is more probably as equal, as important as conceptual clarity. So curiosity means what? Clearly the message is UPSC is telling, we don't want students who are telling me that okay, please tell me sir which material to read. I will read that material, I will come to the exam hall. We don't want them. That's a clear message. We want people who can use their own brains. At least use some curiosity. You have to use curiosity, you have to search, you have to note it down. Broadly you should have an understanding. Remember the typical graduation approach. Which textbook you tell me, I will by heart it, I will come there, I will derive the formula, LHS, RHS, will not work. Fine, you should use your brains, broadly think. Another biggest factor, again I am telling you, if you are still not reading newspaper regularly, if you are still not making your own notes, it is still a mistake again. Because by now you would have identified most of the current affairs topics also, they will make sure that it is not from any particular magazine. Should I tell it again, or by now you should have experienced it. That's why please go through the newspaper, try to make your own notes. At least you still have what? If you take, this is November mid also, if you have at least probably 4-5 months you have. At least till April you can do the current affairs thing. Because if you do it regularly, the biggest advantage is one, every day you can recall your basics. Let's say some issue is going on with respect to anti-defection law or this or Lok Sabha elections, or in economy something might be going on, Supreme Court judgment. Remember just almost 4-5 days back there was a judgment on Article 31C. There was, you can recall that Article 39 Clause B, DPSP, all those things, you can recall your basics. All those things. Yesterday Supreme Court was talking about, remember that bulldozer justice, it is related to the arbitrary power angle, arbitrary power. That means Article 14, rule of law. That question was also there, 2022. So that all we'll discuss. But if you read current affairs regularly, you will revise your concepts regularly. And 2, you will make your own notes. And that whoever makes their own notes will get at least I am telling you, minimum 5 question advantage. At least in elimination, though not directly whatever is there in your notes, you can eliminate and come to the answer. Understood? And please don't depend only on magazines. You make use of it. Sir, no sir, it's a very good magazine, so I am following some whatever YouTube channel, this, that, whatever. Please, you can do it, fine. Don't depend only on it. Take the responsibility with you, on your shoulders. You put the effort. Please don't blindly rely on anybody else. You should understand it's your future, it's your career. You should take the responsibility. Anybody else is only for your help. Understood? And another important point, whatever questions you solve, any institution insights to whatever XYZ institution, always remember that is only for practice. Don't use it as a parameter, don't use it as a reference. The reference is what? Only and only UPSC previous year questions. Never study anything without keeping PYQs in mind. Let's say you are studying polity, because I'll talk about polity, let's say fundamental rights chapter or parliament chapter. Keep you prelims PYQs on parliament chapter. See how they are trying to ask the questions, how they are trying to confuse. Are they trying to play with the factual part? Are they trying to play with the statements? Like remember that with language itself, especially polity, they try to confuse. Or are they trying to play with the options? Remember those options also they are playing now. Match the pair, last year what, 1 pair correct, 2 pair correct, all of a sudden. So all those ones, understand that game first. Just because you rely on some institution only on test series questions and all that is for practice. Clear? Yeah, so we have kept all these things in mind. So based on that only we have broadly, what you call this, come up with these kind of courses. One another biggest advantage is if you start early, by almost December end or maybe by January, probably, well, let's expecting 2 months. Let's say by January, mid or January end, you'll be done with all the subjects. At least what will happen, then all you have to do is revise attempt marks, revise attempt marks. I said that's relatively a bigger advantage. I said if possible, again obviously because I am assuming 6 hours will go for APEC class itself, at least 5-6 hours. 2 to 3 hours at least give it for mains till December, because from January again you'll be focusing on again prelims. That means you'll be coming back for mains preparation when? After prelims, means June you'll be coming back. And this time I think UPSC has again reduced 1 month for mains. If you have seen the, I think some 2-3 days, not 2 days, probably 1 week back, I think they revised the timetable. I think August 22, September 22 was there. I think they have brought it advised to August or something. Almost 1 month they have reduced for mains. Right, or did you follow it or not? 1 month or something they have reduced for the mains time gap. That means whoever are going to rate first mains next year, you will have 1 month less. So that means if you have not done your core foundation of mains related notes, or at least basic revisions of main syllabus and all those things, optionals are, have still not made the notes or have still not given 3-hour marks, this, that, everything, you are going to have a 4-month break, almost 5-month break you can assume, January to May. So you are coming back in June. Your optional notes is not yet ready. When you will make optional notes? Sir, notes only is there. I have not even revised once. When you will do it then? So at least 3 hours addition. You have to stretch it till December. Give it if possible for mains also. Of course, you may be feeling like, sir, first let me clear prelims, sir, then I can think about mains. But once you clear it, you will understand that mains is the biggest challenge. Clear? Yeah, so please at least 3 hours or probably 4 hours, give it for mains till December. 6 hours or probably 5 to 6 hours, you will have it here, it's fine. Of course, it will help you for your conceptual clarity, everything will be working. Clear? And of course, I will forward this file, so we have done for most of our topics, just to show, of course, because we will discuss seeing everything in detail. We all know that in polity, what are the major areas to focus on. Even within that, preamble, fundamental rights, Parliament, Supreme Court, President, 5 key areas. Other things, of course, they may ask, we are not saying no, but these are the 5 key areas. What kind of questions have they asked, all those things, of course, we will be discussing that in detail, no need to worry again, I will not be showing it here. Every subject faculty will take care of whatever their respective ones, but as a orientation part, I am just showing you the core things. Ancient and medieval, broadly what are the topics, again teachers will take care of it, but you will be having an idea. So we have put the PYQs also here, how the questions, nature of questions are changing, everything. And another point, whenever you attempt, it can be PYQs or mocks, please make sure that you identify your pattern of mistake. That's very, very important. Pattern of mistake means, understand, right? Like for example, I am still confused in the basic concepts. Is the conceptual clarity lacking? Or I am very weak in factual part. Like for example, if you have seen last year, I mean this 2022-2024 prelims, there's very simple question on 9th schedule. Remember that? So which what do you call this? Which languages were added to 9th schedule? All those things. A lot of students, I mean 8th schedule. Sorry, the languages one. A lot of students got that also wrong. And there was a question on parts. Part 20 deals with, part 18 deals with, and there was another statement. Factual part, a lot of students have that confusion also. So identify that pattern. Are you weak in conceptual clarity, or are you weak in factual aspect? Are you getting confused in the language of the statement? Are you getting confused in the options? Or are you not backing your instinct is saying that it is B, but you are not backing yourself, you went with some other option. What is it? In which subjects are you facing a problem? Like for example, you might be very strong in, normally students will be very strong in polity and economy because every single day they keep studying it. Relatively ancient, medieval, art and culture, they find it challenging. Some people find geography, basic concepts also as challenging. Some people may find economy basics as challenging. Whatever, that you should identify. Focus more on it. Understood? And before focusing, you should also ensure that it has a cost benefit ratio. Means, sir, art and culture I am weak. I will focus more on it. No cost benefit. So cost benefit also should be there, plus you should be weak in it. That means focus more on it. Cost benefit is not there, but you are weak. It's fine, but you can go through it, not a priority. Sir, economy basics I am getting wrong. That means you should, because it's, how important is it, I don't have to stress. Imagine how much of effort you have to put in there. So like that, please don't put blind efforts. You have to every single day analyze, understand your strengths and weakness. If you just use the graduation approach of I'll just keep studying, it's a ultimate huge competitive exam. I don't have to explain again. So please analyze. Understand? Yeah, so rest all respective subjects one. So will forward it. You please take care of it. In economy aspects, what is important, what are the core areas, everything. Fine. Yeah, geography also, everything. Don't worry. Got it right? So we'll be starting first with the polity subject. Any other kind of challenges you felt, please. Okay, that's fine. Any other challenge you guys felt when you gave your prelims? Hell, it's okay. Anybody who had scored in at least, like, let's say, sir, my score was in 80s, but I still could not clear. 70s. Okay, so please tell what other challenges you felt. You got, even in basic questions also, sir, you were like, so at least 5-6 basic questions I could have corrected it more. That kind of obviously will be there. Minimum 5 basic question I would have got it correct, sir. That itself means what? 5 question means 10 mark, plus you take out the negative. 10 to 12, 13 marks probably could have got it there itself. Like that many will be there. Fine. And sir, how many number of questions should I attempt? All those things is not so easy to judge here itself. It depends on the paper on that particular day. You can't assume that, sir, my senior had told me that 90 plus we should attempt, then go there directly attempt 90 question. It is not going to work like that. You should have a basic, for example, this kind of 2024 paper kind of ones, minimum 80 you can easily attempt. Above 80, how much? That depends on your strengths and weakness. That depends on what kind of paper was it. For example, you might be a person who can take a little more, sir, it's fine, I'll just take a guess. For me, out of, if I take 10 guess, even if I get 5 correct, 5 wrong, it's okay, sir. If you have that kind of attitude, you can broadly take a guess. But some people will be there who will be like more moderate in approach. They'll only take a guess if their instinct is strongly backing it. Then you don't have to go more than 90s. 80 to 85 is your range. But minimum for this kind of paper, 2024 paper, 80. For 21 to 2023 kind of paper, you can't score more, you can't attempt more than 80 as a basic. Maximum, let's say you can say 70, 75 is the range. Reason is what? The paper is very uncertain. The more uncertain the paper is, relatively the number of attempts will come down. Unless you are a person who is like, sir, it doesn't matter to me, I'll just go for it. 50-50 if I get correct also, it's okay for me. If you have that attitude, if you have already tested it multiple times in mocks, yes. Or else, the more uncertain the paper, always remember it as a formula, less should be the number of attempts. More basic questions, more the number of attempts. Less the basic question, less the number of attempts. So don't fix it in mind and go. You can't be rigid here. Dynamic exam, dynamic approach. Clear? Okay, fine. So let's start with polity then. Of course, the broader understanding, all those things you will be having. I'll just show broader things and then we'll go chapter by chapter, we'll be doing it. First, approach wise, I'll tell you. Like your normal polity classes, here obviously there'll be no major discussions because it's a kind of a crash course, revision course, all those things. Please make sure that, of course, the core content will be whatever we have done in the OGP class itself because completely new things will not be there. But here we'll focus more on the prelims aspects. And so how they try to confuse all those things. My suggestion is better make notes. You can make use of it for your last minute revision. And so like let's say prelims is 1 week down the line, prelims is 3-4 days down the line. Unless you have studied Lakshmikant 10 or 20 times, it's not so easy to revise Lakshmikant in half a day. If you have revised 20 times, then absolutely fine. Or else Parliament itself you will take one day. You would have experienced it by now. Sir, Parliament, morning you study, sir, Parliament, sir, Parliament. So even by afternoon you'll be like Parliament only. Fundamental rights. So even by evening you'll be like fundamental rights, fundamental rights. Because number of revisions are less. So better make a notes. Understood? Quickly you have to note down. There will be no dictation part. Most of you I'll write or I may dictate. You have to very quickly note it down. It will help you for your last minute revision. Don't just sit in the class ideally. Just idle. Understood? And of course after every chapter we'll go to the PYQs. We'll attempt them. Even at that time we'll discuss the strategy wise and all those things. Got it right? Yeah, please let's start. And whenever we discuss it chapter by chapter or subject by subject, we'll keep discussing the strategy or whatever. Fine. So again, I don't have to stress again, NCERTs matter a lot even for polity. If in case you had studied NCERTs long back, please make sure that you revise again. Though not now, at least after your classes and all those things, APEC classes, when you come back to your Prelims revision in February or March or April, please make sure you go through NCERTs also. You have already revised it 5 to 6 times, fine. But no sir, only during class time I studied, please make sure you revise them. Clear? Yeah, so which NCERTs obviously you'll be knowing. Which one? Indian Constitution at Work, Democratic Politics 1, Democratic Politics 2, as well as Political Theory. Both, all the 4 NCERTs are important, you'll be knowing, but I am stressing it again. Clear? Of course, the reference book, everything will remain the same, stick to it. Current affairs part, whatever it is, every chapter, whatever we do, then and there I try to cover the current affairs aspect also. Recent Supreme Court judgment, it can be, or any other issues. We'll keep covering chapter by chapter, topic by topic. Right? Let's start with the very first basics first, which regularly you would have seen the questions. First one is what? The very famous topic of UPSC, constitutionalism. N number of times they have already asked it. Let them ask it as constitutionalism, or please keep noting down quickly. Let them mention it as constitutional state, or let them mention it as constitutional government, or let them mention it as constitution itself. Let them mention anything. The core answer will remain the same. What is it? Limited powers or limited government. Just search for this word. If you have seen 2023 question was, the most important function of the constitution is, it is still the same, limited power. Constitutionalism or constitutional state or constitutional government. Right? That is the core point, limited power. Now, of course, if you extend it a little bit, if you can recall your basics, what is it? Written constitution, keyword, what is it? Most important way, means most important means to achieve constitutionalism. Written constitution is the most important way to achieve constitutionalism. Fine, but what is it not? Not necessary or mandatory. It is neither necessary nor mandatory nor sufficient. Not necessary or mandatory or sufficient. It is neither necessary nor mandatory nor sufficient, but it is the best way available to achieve constitutionalism. Right? Yeah, simple examples obviously you will be knowing. So Germany under Hitler, what they had? Written constitution was there, but constitutionalism was not there. UK, whatever, even now the UK one, no written constitution, but what they have? Constitutionalism is there. So that's why written constitution, not necessary, not mandatory, not sufficient, but it is the best way to achieve constitutionalism. Understand? Another point, very simple aspect they can tell. Constitutionalism is the foundation of democracy. Answer is what? Yes, it is a foundation of democracy. Which one? Constitutionalism. This is the foundation of democracy. Because in prelims, that is how they try to test your conceptual clarity. Foundation of democracy, foundation of separation of power. Fine. They also can ask, it is the opposite of, which one? Concentration of power. It is the opposite of absolute power. It is the absolute of authoritarianism. Any word they can use. Opposite of concentration of power, opposite of what? Absolute power, authoritarianism. So they'll just try to tweak and ask, but it is still the same. Opposite of concentration of power or absolute power. But it is the foundation of democracy, it is the foundation of what? Separation of power. Clear? Yeah, first basic aspects. Now extension of this topic, another very basic one, SOP. Obviously, very simple, you will be knowing, given by whom? Given by Montesquieu in his famous book, Spirit of Laws. What all does it include? I don't have to explain, you know that. Fine. And this is what? Part of basic structure. Separation of power is part of basic structure. And the moment they tell separation of power, link to what? Article 50. Fine. Legislature, executive, judiciary one. Then SOP is interlinked with which concept? Checks and balances. They can use very easily, they can ask statements that checks and balances and separation of power are interlinked. Of course they are interlinked. And checks and balances is necessary to ensure constitutionalism. Yes, necessary for constitutionalism. Necessary to ensure constitutionalism. Of course necessary for what? Democracy also. If there is no checks and balances, there is no democracy, there is no separation of power, there is no constitutionalism. All of that interlinked concepts. Right? Yeah, so you see, sometimes they try to ask these kind of words. Broadly, they are trying to test your understanding. Let us say, for example, there is the term authoritarianism. Let us say they use the term totalitarianism. Let us say there is the term autarky. Let us say there is the term deep state. Very simple, they may ask, what do you know by this? Fine, so authoritarianism is what then? Concentration of power, absolute power only. But what? Simple aspect, state is controlling every aspect of society and polity. Or most of the aspects of society and polity. But what not? But not private matters. Private matters means what? State is controlling economy a lot. For example, Indira Gandhi's criticism is what? That Indira Gandhi was authoritarian in nature because she was very strong in her, strong in the sense, kind of concentration of power. Most of the aspects of politics, society, everything, economy also for that matter. Recall pre-1991 India, most of the economy who dominated? Obviously who dominated? Government only used to control everything. That kind of one were called as authoritarianism. But what they will not touch? What are they not touching? Private matters they are not touching. Means something related to your religion, your personal life, your marriage related, that all they will not come into there. You can follow any religion you want, any belief system, all those things. Then look at the word here. Total means you tell me what is the difference then? What do you mean by that? Yeah, including private things. They will only tell you, like let's say Hitler. Hitler was a totalitarian. That is more or less like dictatorship one. Means they'll also tell you which religion to follow, what kind of things to follow, what about your personal life, you can't marry so and so, everything they'll get into that. That is totalitarianism. So both are wrong, both are obviously against democracy. This is more worse. Clear? Yeah, controlling even the private aspects of life. Like Kim Jong-un, whatever in North Korea is there, he is not just authoritarian, the entire regime is totalitarian in nature. Hitler, Nazi Germany, totalitarian. Then autarky means what? In fact, I think last year somewhere there was a question on this. Self-sufficiency of a country. That is called as autarky. Especially economic self-sufficiency. Economic self-sufficiency of a country. Means what? Means the country need not depend on anybody else, any other country for any kind of resources, any export, any import, nothing you have to depend, absolutely self-sufficient. That is called as autarky. Understood? Atmanirbhar Bharat kind of one, remember they keep telling me is absolutely not depend on anybody else. That is autarky. Of course, in practice, no country is autarky because it's practically not possible at all. Understood, right? Economic self-sufficiency means, or in other words, overall self-sufficiency, not dependent on any other country for what? Any resource, any investment, any technology, anything. That is called as autarky. Deep state means what? Deep state means what? An institution, or you can say rather than institution, state controlled by non-elected institutions, means non-legitimate institutions. So you have elections now, obviously 18th Lok Sabha elections you had, people have voted particular party or whatever coalition party, government to power. Obviously you like their ideology, you don't like their ideology, doesn't matter. So they are legitimately elected, they have the power to rule. They can take the decisions, parliament will take the decisions. Deep state means what? An institution which is not directly elected by people will be controlling the state. Understand? For example, simple, everybody knows, like let's say for example in Pakistan what they keep telling, military is controlling. Did the people of Pakistan elect the military? Then how are they controlling? That is deep state. Understand? In some countries, if you have heard, they keep telling that the corporates, that is MNCs are controlling. Did the people elect the companies? Then how are they controlling? That is deep state. For example, what is the example then? Military in Pakistan, big corporations in some Latin American countries. That is deep state. Clear, right? That is basic idea. Huh? Yeah, so okay, so that is the core point. Then another keyword that you have is what? Which again, this also we keep discussing normally, but anytime they can ask. First is terms like, recall you in your basic class also we discussed. Country means what? What kind of is it? Country is it's a geographical entity. Three components. What are they? Territory, population, government. Territory, population, government. That is country. Then what is nation? Socio cultural entity. Feeling of togetherness. Based on some common identity. And what that identity can be? Language, religion, ethnicity, culture, history, whatever you write as. It can be anything or a combination of everything also. That is nation as an example, or nation as a concept. Correct? It can be language, religion, ethnicity, history, culture, or a combination of all these things also can be there. That is nation aspect. Then comes your state. If you can recall 2021 prelims question, what is it? Political entity. 4 components: territory, population, government, sovereignty. Key term. When you say government, legislature, executive, judiciary. When you say sovereignty, what is it? Ultimate decision making authority. That is the basic idea of what do you mean by state. Yeah, now combination of all this, you have to be very quick because I can't wait. It will be like quick revision of your OGP classes, addition current affairs, and so many PYQs added here. Then comes your nation state, means common feeling was already there and then they get together to form the state. The best example is, it's a kind of current affairs also you can link, Zionism. What do you mean by Zionism? Huh? Yeah, the movement to create Israel. It is a political movement led by the Jews to create their own nation state. So that's a nation state. Whatever Muslim League did in India, simple example of nation state. A common feeling that we all are Muslims, we should have a separate nation. Then they created their own state. Whatever Zionism, Israel is also the best angle for this. Right? Yeah, then comes here another concept which is state nation. Means first you create the state, then you create what? Nation. Again, opinions differ. India broadly is an example of both. For simple reason, the reason that India had a very long, almost 80-100 years of national movement itself says that what? India is a nation state. Means already there was a common feeling that we are Indians. But even at the time of independence, the Khalistan problem was there, Kashmir issue was there, Northeast issue was there, South India some issue was there. That means what? Some problems related to unity and integrity were still there. So gradually India became a nation. So India is a combination of nation state and state nation. Understood? That's why some people tell that India is one state with multiple nations. Means by definition of nation, if you apply the European concept, you don't have to necessarily agree with it. That's why the criticism is there. That okay, French speaking people, France, German speaking Germany, that apply logic if you apply. Tamil speaking Tamil Nadu, Kannada speaking Karnataka, Bengali speaking this, that of logic they apply and as say that India is a state with multiple nations. That's a description. And India is a combination of both. Clear? Yeah, so that is a basic idea. Then civilizational state concept is there, which is not important for us because that if in case you have to keep it in mind, normally they will not touch all these things because still does not have global acceptation. But yes, civilizational state according to few people, India is a civilizational state. That means common identity, why it should always be religion or language or ethnicity? Why can't it be civilization? Understood? That's the idea. Though not globally accepted, yeah, there is a truth in it that also. You can't deny it completely. You can't accept it completely also. That's why it still needs theoretical acceptance. Whatever. So till here itself, you will have obviously a lot of questions also there. So constitutionalism, okay. Yeah, this is first level of basics. Constitution part. Then if in case they try to ask, I have not seen that kind of question, but at least for your conceptual clarity, you need to have nationalism within that. So nationalism is a very general, broad term. What does that mean? One's love or emotional attachment to their nation. That's a very generalistic angle of what do you mean by nationalism. Understood? Within that, patriotism, jingoism or chauvinism. Patriotism means what then? Moderate nationalism, where you have a very strong attachment, emotional attachment, love for your nation, but what you also do? Your attachment is not for the party in power. Your attachment is not for the ideology of the party in power. Your attachment is for what? Nation as a whole. Not necessary that you should always back your government or back your what do you call this, constitution or anything. Not necessary that you should always hate the other country. Let's say more balanced version is patriotism. Chauvinism or jingoism means what? Hyper nationalism means extreme kind of love, always supporting the party in power, the government in power, or the ideology of the party. That kind of things is what Hitler advocated is not patriotism. What he advocated is what? Jingoism. That you should always support Hitler, their party, all those things. What Indian constitution supports is patriotism angle. Clear? This chances of asking is less, but just keep it in mind. Clear? Then because of the recent Indo-Canada issue and all those things, the opposite of this, which is what? Secessionism. So secessionism means what then? Demand for what? Separate country. Example simple. Because of the Indo-Canada angle also, if you put what? Khalistan. Or you can also call it as what? Some people also use that term. What is the term? You can also call that separatism. Demand for a separate country. Simple example. Nagalim. Those are all. Or Dravida Nadu, which was in 1950s and 60s. Now we don't discuss also. Those are all separatism or secessionism. Khalistan, Nagalim, etc. Right? Then comes which one? Regionalism. Normally it is what? Okay, if you want. They also call it as what? What is the other name they use for it? That I am a Bengali, I am a Kannadiga, I am a Marathi, I am a Punjabi. Very, very strong attachment. That is regionalism. If you have that feeling, it's okay. But what it should not do? It should not go to the extreme. Because if it goes to extreme, it becomes what? It leads to secessionism. Always nationalism is the ultimate one. First is Indian feeling. Then whatever other feeling you have it. It's fine. Other feeling cannot, any other feeling can't go above the Indian, I am an Indian feeling, it should not go. Because unity and integrity will be affected. Then comes your sub-regionalism. Again, the name itself says, I think you can easily understand. So very strong attachment towards your sub-region. Means very small, like let's say, I am a Tulu Nadu kind of a feeling. That is sub-regionalism. Very strong attachment for your small area, sub-region. Fine. In India, linguism, regionalism, sub-regionalism, kind of all of them are very strongly attached. Because look at the Tulu Nadu demand. It is also linked to what? Tulu Nadu, the name itself says, linked to what? Linguism angle. But it's also linked to what? Sub-regionalism. So it's a kind of interlinkages are there. Tulu Nadu demand. Fine, these are very, very broad basics. Then we'll get to the small details, every chapter by chapter. Yeah, obviously the acts and everything, the typical factual part I'll keep it to the end, because acts and everything I can sum up at the end. Next chapter is your which one? Making of Constitution. Again, very simple question if they ask, world's first written constitution. Just now recently you had the elections again. Same. Written constitution, not mandatory for democracy. Again, what is it? Best means available. Same logic for constitutionalism. Best means available. But not mandatory for democracy. Fine. And then, I mean, for a long time UPSC had forgotten almost this chapter. If you have seen this year, they've asked a very simple question on making of Indian constitution. I think Sachidananda Sinha aspect or something that has very simple one. But of course, you should have a broader idea. Fine, first official demand, because even before that Gandhi had demanded for constant assembly, but it was not an official demand. Gandhi demanded much earlier, but not officially. Officially means kind of writing a resolution, letter, everything to the British authorities, all those things. That was not done by Gandhi. That's why not official. Official, you have to choose M.N. Roy only. Again, for M.N. Roy, if you link the which on the modern India angle, so what does he? Father of Indian communism. Understood? He is the one who gave what? He is the one who gave, if you link the economy angle, he is the one who gave People's Plan. He is very famous for, I mean, his ideology is radical democratism. People's Plan was a kind of 5-year plan given much before Planning Commission came up with their own plan. Fine. So that is the first basics. Then obviously, I mean again very simple ones. This all I don't have to explain. Which one? British accepted it for the first time in kind of modern India link. British provided it or accepted Constituent Assembly for the first time in August of 1940, but the Congress rejected it. Fine, then British again offered it in which one? Cripps Mission 1942, again rejected. Accepted for the first time August of 1940, Congress rejected it. Then very simple facts. Congress plus Muslim League both accepted it. 1946. Quick. Composition of Constituent Assembly. Delhi, Ajmer, Coorg, British Balochistan. Fine. Andaman Nicobar Islands, remember, was also a Chief Commissioner province, but it had no representation in Constituent Assembly. Clear? Then next comes here. Muslims 6 general. Proportion to population. Seats divided between Muslims, Sikhs and general, seats proportional to population, provinces, PRSTV, members of same community in the provincial legislature, princely states nominated by their heads. That's why in simple terms, what is it? They can use easily this statement. First point, Constituent Assembly was elected based on separate electorate. Second point, how were they? Indirectly elected. Not direct, indirect. That's a major criticism also. Separate electorate or communal electorate, indirect elections. And few were in fact nominated also, princely states. Fine. Again, if in case they try to extend it a little beyond this, so just for your simple facts, separate electorate or communal electorate, indirect elections. Fine. If they want to stretch it, I keep telling it normally, even in normal basic classes, if you can recall, especially the important one, Ambedkar, elected from where? Ambedkar was elected from Bengal. Understood? Post independence, post partition, because obviously Bengal got partitioned, post partition, elected from Bombay. Fine. Of course, Congress got the highest number of seats. All those things I don't have to tell. Fine. Recently also, if you have seen, Justice Chandrachud was talking about it. How many women members were there? 15 women members. In the Constituent Assembly, there were 15 women members. I mean, you don't have to recall everybody, but from broadly like what? Sarojini Naidu. Fine. Amrit Kaur, Rajkumari Amrit Kaur. I think there was some question on Rajkumari Amrit Kaur also this time. And then Dakshayani Velayudan. So like that, whatever, broadly, there were Vijay Lakshmi Pandit was also there. Totally, there were around, not around, exactly 15 women members. Fine. They can ask a very simple question. Anglo-Indians were represented in Constituent Assembly. Answer is yes, Anglo-Indians were also represented. Anglo-Indians also, also represented. Very famously, if you have heard, even if you can recall your polity also, I keep telling his name. Frank Anthony, who is famously called as what? Father of Anglo-Indian community in India. Father of Anglo-Indian community in India. Fine. Again, about Anglo-Indians, we keep referring to it in your polity also. In your Parliament chapter also. That we'll do it later. Anglo-Indians were also represented. More or less every other community. I don't have to explain again. Clear? Then the very simple one, which is what? Functioning part, if you take. Like the speaker pro tem concept today, Sachidananda Sinha. Deputy heads. H.C. Mukherjee, V.T. Krishnamachari. H.C. Mukherjee, V.T. Krishnamachari. Right? Very simple angle. Then comes your three key points. Drafted by Nehru, unanimously accepted, reflected in the preamble. Drafted by Jawaharlal Nehru, unanimously accepted by the Assembly. It is reflected in today's preamble. Fine? Yeah, so then obviously all this we will be knowing because very, very basics. First aspect, 389 became 299, 229 plus 70. That's very obvious, you will be knowing. Then Constituent Assembly. Just it's fine. In other words, if you want to extend it, Constituent Assembly, sovereign body, draft any constitution. Then Constituent Assembly, Dominion Legislature. So when it acted as Dominion Legislature, recall basics, who presided? Who? G.V. Mavlankar presided it. When it acted as a Constituent Assembly, that is to draft the Constitution, Dr. Rajendra Prasad presided it. G.V. Mavlankar, Dominion Legislature. Remember that very simple basics, kind of extension of this only you can say. Normally I keep telling this also. India was colony. Recall all these things. Especially these two keywords. Even here you can add democracy. No doubt. Then sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Sovereign, socialist, secular, that all you know. That again will come back in your preamble chapter again. Fine. Yeah, that's another set of very simple aspects. 42nd Amendment 1976, the terms socialist and secular were added. So, sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Correct. Then, the other aspects you have to take is, again very simple, normally they don't touch, but you never know. When they can ask a question on Sachidananda Sinha, who presided temporarily, I think committee also there was probably a question, I forgot, but I will look at the PYQs, you'll understand. Committees of Constituent Assembly. Union Constitution Committee, Union Powers Committee, States Committee. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Provincial Constitution Committee, Committee on Fundamental Rights and Minorities, Committee on Fundamental Rights, J.B. Kriplani, Committee on Minorities, H.C. Mukherjee. And then Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Committee on Rules of Procedure and Steering Committee. Rules of Procedure Committee, Steering Committee. Union Constitution Committee, Union Powers Committee, States Committee. States means committee to negotiate with the princely states. States doesn't mean states today, princely states. Provincial Constitution Committee, Committee on what? FR, Fundamental Rights and Minorities. So fundamental rights, J.B. Kriplani, if you have that also link, Congress Socialist Party, H.C. Mukherjee, temporary, not temporary, the deputy head, minorities. Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Rules of Procedure Committee, Steering Committee. Fundamental Rights, J.B. Kriplani, minorities, H.C. Mukherjee. Minorities. J.B. Kriplani is one of the founding fathers of which one? Congress Socialist Party. If you can recall your modern India, along with Jayaprakash Narayan, Ram Manohar Lohia, Asif Ali, Aruna Asif Ali, all of those people. Right? And then, of course, few other committees were there, which is not important for us. For example, there is Order of Business Committee, there is a Flag Committee, there is Order, so many were there. Those are all very, very minor committees. But the most important one, which is obvious you will be knowing, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyer, Gopal Swami Iyengar, Madhav Rao, Krishnamachari, Munshi, Syed Muhammad Sadullah, Ambedkar, Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyer, Gopal Swami Iyengar, Madhav Rao, T.T. Krishnamachari, K.M. Munshi, Syed Muhammad Sadullah. K.M. Munshi, as I keep telling normally, because linked to the post-independence history, K.M. Munshi was what? Person responsible for the reconstruction of the Somnath temple in Gujarat. Remember, because of the recent the Ayodhya temple reconstruction, another major temple which was reconstructed was what? Recall your whatever ancient, medieval, all those things you link. Who attacked, all those things that all you would have studied. So, K.M. Munshi is a person responsible for its reconstruction. When major person, so many people will be there. Syed Muhammad Sadullah. T.T. Krishnamachari was what? Finance Minister. He later became India's Finance Minister. The very famous, if you have heard, Chagla Commission. They are all not necessary in polity, but T.T. Krishnamachari was the Finance Minister also. Clear? And the most important person who kind of what? Who kind of assisted in the drafting was Sir B.N. Rao, legal constitutional advisor to Constituent Assembly. Five total redrafts. Is that everything not necessary for us? Accepted or enacted the constitution on, obviously we all know, very simple things. Preamble, 22 parts, 395 articles, 8 schedules. Constitution enforced on. So accepted, signed, enforced. Remember Constitution Day. Jan 1950. Then just extension of this. Okay, the same day. 1935 Act ended. Very simple things because small details matter a lot for prelims. Then it continued as provisional parliament till 1952, even after which one? The first Lok Sabha election. Constituent Assembly finalized national anthem, song, flag. Finalized national anthem, song, flag. India's membership of CWN means Commonwealth of Nations. Fine. Extension, if you want to extend this. Fine. National flag, just to give a modern India touch. Whom? Pingali Venkayya. Understood? If you can recall 2022, that asked because of the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign, remember the dimensions, everything itself, they made a question. The dimensions between the horizontal and length is to breadth should be also on, so everything. That you can't prepare for it because all of a sudden very kind of what unexpected kind of a question. Then national song, again a kind of modern India touch. Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. Fine. Written which language? It was Sanskrit. Fine. Which book? Yeah. Ananda Math. Sanskrit Anand Math. So that itself is related to what? Sannyasi rebellion. Because Sannyasi rebellion is India's, famously considered as India's first rebellion. Bande Mataram, Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, Sanskrit, Anand Math, Sannyasi rebellion. Add that also. Sannyasi rebellion. India's first rebellion, famously considered as India's first rebellion. But of course, that's a modern India angle. They'll discuss it there. Sannyasi rebellion. Anand Math book. Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, Sanskrit. Keywords. Fine. Then for the and another point for Vande Mataram, what you have to keep it in mind. It is what? First sung by Rabindranath Tagore. Look how is it. First sung by Rabindranath Tagore, 1896 Congress session, Calcutta session. First sung by Rabindranath Tagore, 1896 Calcutta session of Congress. 1896 Calcutta session. Rabindranath Tagore. Fine. Yeah, then comes your anthem angle. Again a kind of prelims angle because 1 year they have already asked it. The national anthem, of course, who wrote it, all those things I don't have to tell. Fine. Originally which language? Originally Bengali. Later translated to Hindi. Fine. Then another point is what? First sung in 1911 Calcutta session. 11 or 12? 11 only, right? 1911 Calcutta session. First sung. And where did he compose it? That was your prelims question. Composed in Andhra Pradesh, Madanapalle, Andhra. I think this was your 2021 prelims question or 2020, 2021. See, how is it? Madanapalle, Andhra Pradesh. Fine. But again, another basic point. National song or anthem or flag, whatever it is, nowhere mentioned in the Constitution. Constitution doesn't talk anything about it. These are all extra constitutional. Constitution never mentions India as a member of United Nations or Commonwealth or anything. All of them extra constitutional agreements. Clear? Then, if in case, how many sessions they had, all those things, I think I wrote that, right? Okay, fine. So then, if in case another one, which province had the highest number of seats? Uttar Pradesh. At that time, United Province, followed by which one? Madras. You never know if they try to make it factual. I am just mentioning it. Highest seats in Constituent Assembly for United Province, followed by Madras. United Province, followed by Madras. Fine. Another few facts. Again, normally they don't touch, but just for your that all you know. Symbol of Constituent Assembly. Constitution Advisor we have written. Originally written in which language? Originally written in English. And by whom? Yeah. Broader points related to first chapter. Relatively not so important chapter, but this year they have asked one question. So I just try to broadly cover it. So then we'll directly discuss your parliamentary system, federal system. Normally you will have a lot of basics there. We'll not discuss it from the mains perspective, only prelims perspective. The types of federalism, all those things which is very important for mains. I'll only sum up here from the prelims point. We'll not get into the mains angle because that's completely different aspect. Got it? Okay, so we'll take some 15 minutes break. Come back, we'll continue till another 1.5 hours. Then we'll take a lunch break. That is much better. Okay. ಏನು ಅಷ್ಟೇನು ಶಾಕ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡಿ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್. So just recall the various names. Different names of parliamentary system: cabinet system, responsible government, Westminster system. Fine. Just from the names perspective. Then broadly, we'll get to the core aspects. Very famous question of UPSC is there in this chapter. Obviously, I have told you multiple times. Head of the state, nominal head, de jure head means official, jurisdiction wise, theoretically. Head of government, real head, de facto head. Very simple ones. Quick. And then comes your executive is part of legislature, dual membership. To be part of executive, one should be part of legislature. Very simple aspects. Of course, exception is what? One who is not an MP can also be appointed as a minister for maximum 6 months, dual membership. This also, if you have seen, this was your 2022 prelims question. Majority party rule in Lok Sabha. If not, you will have a coalition government. If not, you can have a minority government also. Just to differentiate, coalition government means, of course, multiple parties getting together to form the government, but the coalition partners will be part of the government, means they will take up minister positions. But there is something called as minority government. Minority government means coalition partners will not take up minister positions. That is called as minority government. What you have at present in center is coalition government, because the other parties are also what? They have accepted minister positions. In 1990s, few governments were minority governments. Means other parties supported it, but they did not take up minister position. That's why if you have heard, they use another word for it called as outside support. That so-and-so party supporting the government, but it is providing outside support. Outside means what? They'll support you, but they'll not accept minister positions. Understood? So like that, whatever, that's called as minority government. Clear? Majority party rule aspects. Of course, extension of it. Leadership of PM. Now, the most important one. most important feature of a lot of times they have asked this question. The most important feature of parliamentary system is collective responsibility. Fine. Of whom to whom? Council of Ministers to Lok Sabha. Please don't choose the word. Even in basics, if you can recall, I keep on telling, don't choose the term parliament, choose the term House of People, because in Article 75 Clause 3 they have used the term House of People. Clear? Yeah, so that is the basic idea, characteristic. Then of course few other simple aspects. Early dissolution of Lok Sabha by President, recommendation of COM. Understood? 6 months early, general election within 6 months, all those things keep it in mind. By the President on the recommendation of COM. Early dissolution of Lok Sabha. And then, which is not very important one, but you can recall, this is not the core feature, you don't have to worry much about it. Because you have majority party rule, automatically what you will have? Political homogeneity. In other words, ministers will all have same kind of ideology, value system. Fine. For coalition government, that's why there is a chances of, there is a practice of, if you have heard what common minimum program. Common minimum program is like considered as the foundation for a coalition government. And so common minimum program is all nowhere mentioned in the constitution. Recent times we are not hearing about it because coalition governments we don't have now so much. Even now I don't think they have signed a coalition minimum program common minimum program for the present coalition government. But earlier it was a very UPA 1, UPA 2, all those things. It was a very famous practice. Common minimum program, CMP. Fine. Chances of asking a question is not there, don't worry. So this is the basic ideas of what do you mean by parliamentary system. Now same aspects, of course, just just 4-5 days back. Fine, which we all know, but just to keep it in mind. Single head, single membership, no need of majority in House of Representatives. There is no concept of early dissolution of House of Representatives. The entire system is based on separation of power. This is the core characteristics of what do you mean by presidential system. Stability. Fine. And then it is also very simple basics. You obviously know. Just keep it in mind. Asking a question is less chance. Mostly they'll stick to features of parliamentary system. But the first major advantage, principle of collective responsibility. Second major advantage, coordination between legislature and executive. Third major advantage, prevents concentration of power. Fourth major advantage, alternate government. Fifth major advantage, representation of diversity. Fine. Same way, if you take the demerits, For every more or less advantage, demerits is there. First major demerits is what? Anytime your government can be dissolved, instability. Because ruling party has majority, dominance of executive in legislature. Understood? Then PM, prime ministerial system, violates SOP, rule by amateurs, non-experts. Merits, demerits. Instability of the system, dominance of the ruling party in the legislature, criticized as prime ministerial system, violates separation of power, rule by whom? Laymen, subject matter, non-specialist, amateurs. Here you can't expect a question, mostly they'll stick to the features, but you should have a broader idea, that's it. Fine. Then if in case they ask very simple, parliamentary system, this they may can ask a question, laid by Government of India Act 1919, to be more precise, which one? Recall, modern India, diarchy aspect. Clear? Then another very basic one, part of basic structure. Understood? So you can't change it so easily. All the committees, Forensic Committee to Second ARC to Law Commission to NCRWC, all of them have told continue with the existing system. So there is no need to change. It's already part of basic structure. Other than that, there is no need to understand anything here from the prelims point. Again, from the mains part. British parliamentary system, sorry, even this is from the prelims part, this you have a chance. Anytime they can just ask a kind of a questions. Constitutional monarchy, republic, no written constitution, parliamentary sovereignty, yes, is what? Constitutional supremacy. Then the other ones is PM, member of House of Commons, PM, Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Only MPs can become ministers. Here 6 months exception. Then here legal, okay, we finish this, let's later. 6 months exception clause. That means those who are not an MP can also be appointed as minister. Parliamentary sovereignty, constitutional supremacy. PM should be member of House of Commons, can be member of Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Fine. And then legal responsibility of minister. No. Shadow cabinet, Britain, India, no. Legal responsibility means, if you can recall, every minister has to countersign the decisions taken by the, what do you call this, monarchy, and it is based on the principle of king can do no wrong. If in case anything goes wrong, you can't question the king, you should question minister. In India, such kind of principle, because king can do no wrong principle, you can't follow it in India. So we don't have that. So countersign concept is not there, but of course, presidents and the governors have their own immunity. That's a different aspect. Shadow cabinet means, if you, in simple terms, what does it mean? The entire cabinet, that is ruling party, will be countered, or in other words, shadowed, followed by the opposition will have their own government. That doesn't mean they'll have any power, but they'll form their own government. Obviously, you know, recently, just few months back, there was election in UK and then the Labour Party won, now Conservative Party is in the opposition, they'll have their own shadow PM. Who is that? All those things, nobody will ask. Just for your clarity, you can go and search. So they have their own shadow. They'll not have any power, but they'll have a shadow cabinet. In India, there is no such practice. One of the major reasons is what? Multiple political parties. It's not so easy to form. Clear? So this is the core of your parliamentary system. Anytime in the features itself, you will have a very high chances of a question. Then federalism, federal system, federation, whatever you call it as. Of course, oldest federation, most successful federation is what? Yes, again same, 1787. So what is unitary system? All those things you know. What is federalism? Confederation is there. Confederation, if you want, you write unitary, I think you will be knowing. Best one, most successful one. Federation, will come to it. That is the key. UPSC has not asked a single question on this topic, no need to worry, but just keep it in mind. Whatever you have, the international organizations or groupings, everything will fall under your confederation. Anytime when they want to get out of the group, of course they can get out. International organizations or groupings, it can be BRICS, it can be UN, it can be whatever, SAARC, ASEAN, whatever you call it as, international organizations and groupings will fall under this. Confederation, right to secede. Fine, but for us the focus is on federalism. Of course, what is the basic, all those things not necessary. Core features only you recall. Okay, before that, just to keep it in first point. Minimum 2 levels of government. So not necessary that only 2, minimum 2 levels of government. For example, if you take India, Government of India, states, so minimum 2 levels of government. Then next feature is what? Division of power, most important feature. So if they ask the most important feature of federalism is, you have to choose division of power. Fine, like how collective responsibility is the most important feature of parliamentary system, division of power is the most important feature of federalism. Then what you will have, this division of power is where? A written constitution. So they may ask a very simple statement, written constitution is mandatory for democracy, answer is wrong. But written constitution is mandatory for federalism, answer is correct. Written constitution. So obviously when you have a written constitution, very simple aspects. Here itself they will divide the power. If you take Indian context, 7 schedule, very simple ones. Then comes your supremacy of constitution. Or you can say, I'll just combine because we are discussing for prelims. Rigidity as well as supremacy of constitution. Now to ensure this rigidity and supremacy, what do you need? How do you protect it? You need an independent judiciary. And how do you get an independent judiciary? You should give them the power of judicial review. If you take Indian context, Rajya Sabha. bicameralism at the national level. Done? So these are the core points of your federalism. Because this also very high chances they can easily expect a question, they can easily ask a question. Again another one. Very simple basics. The term is not mentioned in Indian Constitution. Union of States, that also you know. No right to secede, not formed as a result of treaty or agreements. Right? Very simple ones, obviously you all know this. But again another point, federalism is what? Simple aspect they can tell. Indian federalism is based on, inspired by whom? Canadian model. Another aspect, Indian federalism is part of basic structure. Which case? Which one? Famously in S.R. Bommai case. Part of basic structure, S.R. Bommai case. Described as Union of States. Fine. Then if in case they try to extend this, for example, descriptions. Normally they don't ask questions here, but you never know, just keep it in mind. Granville-Austin cooperative federalism. The different descriptions of federalism. Justice Beg, amphibian federalism. Alexandrovic, sui generis model, unique. That's a Latin term, it means simple terms, unique. Morris Jones, bargaining federalism. Alexandrovic, Granville-Austin, cooperative. Paul Appleby, extremely federal. Ivor Jennings, federation with a strong centralizing tendency. Casey Ware, quasi-federal. Here they don't ask, mostly they'll stick to the features itself, but just to keep it in mind. Fine. Now extension of this, that obviously here chances are there. How can they ask? Obviously we'll mention it, strong center. Great or greater legislative powers to center. Greater financial powers to center. Residuary powers to center. Single constitution plus citizenship. Emergency. Governor. All India service. Integrated audit plus integrated. Which one? Election machinery. Like that, so many are there. Broadly, these are the points. Of course, you can still keep adding broader aspects of what are the features of a strong center. Residuary powers to center, single constitution, single citizenship, emergency, governor, all India service, integrated audit, integrated election machinery. Fine, strong center, quasi-federalism, whatever you call it as. Now, again, if in case they have not touched this in prelims, just I am not talking it from prelims medium, I mean mains perspective, just from prelims perspective. Symmetric federalism, equal powers to most of the states, regional units. That is called as symmetric federalism, and world's most famous country is what for this? US. That's it. That's it. You don't have to know anything more than that. India also follows asymmetric federalism, no doubt. I mean, symmetric federalism, asymmetric. Special provisions for certain regional units. Of course, very famous example for this is what? India. So many examples you have. 370 to 371 to 5th to 6th schedule, fine, to special category status, to inner line permit, to states versus UT, UT with legislature, so many are there, but here you have few prelims point, we'll mention it. 370, 371, 5th schedule, 6th schedule, special category status, inner line permit, etc. All of them is for what? Asymmetric federalism. Fine. Now within this, if in case they ask what is this article 371, kind of match the following kind of facts, just to broadly keep it in mind, article 371 means what? First point, who will give it? Under article 368, you have to amend the constitution. Which majority? Special majority. Means both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. First aspect. Second aspect, why do they give it? Grounds. Again, not very clear in constitution, broadly. They give it because of A, socio-economic backwardness. B, cultural diversity, linguistic, cultural, historical, whatever, cultural diversity. Then C, disturbed law and order situation, like the northeast areas, not now, whenever it was given. Then demand of local people. Again, this is not very clearly mentioned in the constitution or anything, broadly based on what it is given. Socio-economic backwardness, cultural diversity, disturbed law and order situation, demand of the local people. Based on that, they'll give you 371 status. Again, to broadly keep it in mind, only from a factual perspective, 371 is for whom? Maharashtra and Gujarat. A, 371A, Nagaland. B, Assam. C, Manipur. D and E, Andhra Pradesh plus Telangana. F, Sikkim. G, Mizoram. H, Arunachal Pradesh. H is Arunachal Pradesh. I, Goa. J, Hyderabad, Karnataka, region of Karnataka. Nagaland, Assam, Manipur, Arunachal Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, D and E, F, Sikkim, G, Mizoram, H, Arunachal, I, Goa, J, HK. Fine, HK was added by which one? 98th amendment, Hyderabad, Karnataka. 371J added by 98th amendment. 2013, I think. You just have to cross verify the year one. So this is 371. On what grounds they give? Asymmetric. India is world's most famous asymmetric federalism. Then comes your fifth. Just clarify, because again we will be writing in your as a separate chapter. Fine. Article 244. If in case you want article 244 deals with fifth schedule. Of course, at present how many? Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Himachal Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Odisha, Andhra, Telangana. Then sixth schedule. Sixth schedule is also dealt by 244. Plus you have other article also. Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram. This is your fifth and sixth schedule. Fine. Then comes your which one? Inner line. Okay, well, special category status. First point. This is a kind of current affairs topic also, kind of basics also. It is nowhere mentioned in the constitution. Then based on what? Recommendation of Finance Commission. Then based on what grounds? First, you should have international borders. Fine, first ground. Second one, infrastructural backwardness. Infrastructural backwardness. Fine, then third one is what? High ST, high scheduled tribe. Then comes your low GDP. state GDP. If you have these by fact, aspects, broadly, tough geographical terrain, that is also there. Tough terrain, geographical terrain. Tough geographical terrain, international borders, infrastructural backwardness, high scheduled tribe, low state GDP. Based on those grounds, they'll give you special category status. Now, next point is what? Who will give you? Given by whom? National Development Council. But the concept itself is not there now because NDC is also there, is also not there. Finance Commission has not recommended it. Tough geographical terrain, international borders, infrastructural backward, high ST, low state GDP. Clear? On those grounds, they'll give you special category status. Given by National Development Council, NDC. Fine. Next aspect is what? If in case you want, what is the advantage of special category status? First point is what? Greater revenue share. From Government of India. So whatever is distributed, in that you will get a greater revenue share. 2. Tax discounts. For MNCs, or you can say companies. Fine, that's next one. Then more grants by Government of India. The Government of India will give you more grants. These are all broadly the advantages. Now what has happened? Okay, for which states they have this? 8 northeast states. That means you have to include Sikkim plus Himachal Pradesh plus Uttarakhand plus Telangana. In other words, J&K was there. J&K they have deleted because it's no longer a state. It's a UT. 8 northeast states plus Himachal Pradesh plus Uttarakhand plus Telangana has special category status. You might have seen Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, Odisha, everybody are demanding, but the concept itself is outdated now. Fine, because simple reason, 15th Finance Commission as well as 16th Finance Commission have not talked about special category status. So because the vertical devolution has increased, logically you can assume the concept is outdated. They are not using it any longer. Fine. They'll give you the extra funds, everything they may give. Concept of special category status is discontinued. That's the idea. Clear? Now, extension of this. Inner line permit. Again, first point. What is it not? Nowhere mentioned in Constitution. Then, it is a British legacy. Which act? Last year it was a kind of current affairs. No, but this year there is no angle related to it. Bengal Eastern Frontier Regulation Act. Now who has this? Arunachal Pradesh plus Nagaland plus Manipur plus Mizoram. Manipur is new. Newly added is Manipur. Inner line permit. Now who gives this status? By Government of India. There is no particular or anything. Directly Government of India will give it. Not mentioned in Constitution. Fine. Of course, what is the angles of ILP? Outsiders have to take permission. Outsiders should take permission. Outsiders should take permission. Then, no religious activities allowed. That's it. Broadly keep that in mind. That is your inner line permit. No religious activities are allowed. So these are all differences, not differences, asymmetric federalism, major provisions. Then few other types again from the prelims perspective. Cooperative federalism. In simple term, center plus states, states plus states should work together. That's it. That is cooperative federalism. Center and states as well as states have to work together. Broadly, so many examples are there. For example, Niti Aayog, because they will not ask in prelims what is vertical cooperation, what is horizontal cooperation. GST Council, 41% vertical devolution by Finance Commission, rationalization of centrally sponsored schemes. Etc. These are all famously under cooperative federalism. Now, extend here itself, if you add points here, for example, 3 bodies you have. One you have Niti Aayog, second you have GST Council, third you have Finance Commission, fourth you have centrally sponsored schemes. About this itself, if you want, if you write points, fine, Niti Aayog. First point is what? 2015. Extra constitutional extra statutory body. PM is the head. Vice chairperson. Because body is everything, you can't keep doing separately. Whatever important bodies are there, so in the flow we will discuss them. So obviously, vice chairperson appointed by whom? Prime Minister. Fine. Now, who is this vice person at present, if you have seen? Fine, Raju Kumar. So now the point is what? He has the cabinet minister status. He has the status of cabinet minister, rank of a cabinet minister. Then what is the point? You have something called as governing council. The most important body. CMs are also members. This is the major thing, because remember, in planning commission there were no CMs. Here CMs are the governing. Governing council consists of CMs. CMs means, of course, you have to add Delhi administrators also, Delhi CM, Puducherry CM, all of them combinedly. Then they have a concept of what? They have a concept of regional council. As the name itself says, across the country, every region will have their own council. That concept is there. And then few ex officio members will be there, few permanent invitees will be there, all of that, not necessary. Now, again another point, Niti Aayog itself works on which principle? Cooperative federalism plus competitive federalism. By definition, it promotes cooperative federalism and competitive federalism. Extra constitutional, extra statutory body, 2015. Fine. Then, what are the reports that they produce? "20-year vision document, 7-year strategy document, 3-year action plan." So these are the documents that they do. Fine. Then what are the various indices? Composite water management index, Sustainable Development Goal Index. Fine. CQ, School Education Quality Index. Agri Farming, Agri Friendly Index. Agricultural Marketing Reforms, everything. Agri Reforms Friendly Index. Earlier, state-wise, what was there? State ease of doing business was also there. State-wise EODB. So like that, lot of indices they produce. Composite Water Management Index, SDG Index, all those things. Remember, Niti Aayog is the institution in charge of SDG. If you don't know that, also keep it in mind. SDG in charge of whom? Or Niti Aayog is in charge of implementation of SDG for India. If in case you have forgotten that. Then they only come up with, what do you call this, initiatives. Few major initiatives, they only come. Like what are the famous one? SAT. SAT means Sustainable Action Towards Human Capital. Then AIM, Atal Innovation Mission. Then Aspirational District Development Program. Now they have Aspirational Block Development Program. All of that initiatives also by Niti Aayog. Aspirational District Development Program, Aspirational Block Development Program, Atal Innovation Mission, Atal Tinkering Labs, which itself is part of Atal Innovation Mission, Sustainable Action Towards Human Capital. Just write SAT. These are various initiatives of Niti Aayog. Understood? Bottom up planning, all those things. Now, so here itself you have, if in case you want to broadly recall about GST Council, fine, Article 279 capital A. Which amendment? Obviously, 101st Amendment 2016. Headed by whom? Of course, headed by Union Finance Minister. Then, one-third vote weightage, Government of India. Two-third vote weightage, states. Understood? Of course, state finance ministers are all members. State finance ministers or state revenue members or ministers. Then, what do you call as this? Voting greater than or equal to 3/4 of overall weightage. That is GST Council angle. I mean, minimum quota is, I think, quorum is 50%. All those things are there. State finance ministers are also members. Vice President is also chosen by the council itself. If you want that also, Deputy Head. Vice President chosen by council itself. Vice President chosen by the council itself. Fine. Yeah, now recently if you have seen, they have established something called as what? In economy, again they'll tell you, but just because I just recalled, I'm just telling. They have established something called as GST Appellate Tribunals. This is under which act? CGST Act 2017. In other words, it is not constitutional. These are all what then? CGST Act 2017 means what kind of bodies then? Statutory bodies. Fine. Principal Bench, Delhi. And then plus 31 benches across all the states and UTs. That's the recent kind of current affairs. What do they do? All those things that they'll tell you in economy. CGST Act 2017. For GST angle, that's fine. Other things they'll take care there. Again, just to recall, Finance Commission, if they ask, first point, Article 280. Second point, what kind of body? Temporary constitutional body. Third point, rather than the word appointment, mention it as established by President every once in 5 years. Normally, what is the composition? 1 plus 4 members. Then you have Finance Commission Act 1951. Finance Commission Act 1951, 1 plus 4 members. No tenure. There is nothing called as tenure or anything for it. Reappointment. Same member can be appointed again. Reappointment allowed. Of course, report, recommendation, everything is what? All of them is what by definition? Advisory. In other words, not binding. Any reports, any recommendations of Finance Commission is not binding on the government. But most of it, traditionally, they accept it. Again, for basic facts, if you want to recall, normally they don't ask, but you never know, because they have already appointed what? 16th Finance Commission. First Finance Commission headed by whom? K.C. Niyogi. And then just keep the recent ones in mind. 14th FC. 14th is who? Y.V. Reddy. 15th is th, you know the recent. 16th FC, Arvind Panagaria. So the report is still not given. We are in the 15th Finance Commission era. Just to keep it in mind, 2021 to 2026. Ideally, it should have been 2020 April 1st to 2025 March 31st. But because of the COVID angle, the 1 year interim report, everything, 2021 April to March 2026. That means April 1st, 2026 to count plus 5 years, it will be 16th Finance Commission headed by Arvind Panagaria. They'll give the report probably next year, mid or end, they'll give the report, then they'll, whatever, that's the next angle. 14th Finance Commission Y.V. Reddy, 15th N.K. Singh, 2021 to 2026. Now, if in case you have heard, famously, what is it called as? Its famous description is what? Balancing wheel of fiscal federalism. That's a famous description of Finance Commission. Balancing wheel of fiscal federalism. Then, Government of India to states, to local government. Here, Union Finance Commission takes care. Here, State Finance Commission takes care. They will do two things. One is called as vertical devolution. Second one is horizontal devolution. Center to states, between states. This is 41% at present. Horizontal devolution is based on what? Factors. Like which one? Income distance, which is 45%. 2011 population 15%. Then demographic performance, %. Then ecology, environment and ecology aspects, 10%. What is the next one? This 12 point, this fiscal efforts, 2.5%. There's another factor. Demographic performance, income distance, area. Area is 15%, right? Area is 15%. Sorry. Area is 15%. demographic performance is 12.5%, and then yeah, tax efforts is 2.5%. You add tax efforts 2.5%. So income distance 45%, highest factor. 2011 population 15, and another 15 is what? Area of the state 15. Totally how much? 65, and then 65. No, not 65. 75, and then demographic performance 12.5. That is 87.5. Then ecology 10, 97.5. Tax efforts 2.5. That is total 100%. So that is a weightage. That is the Finance Commission angle. Then centrally sponsored, only that I'll clarify, then we'll take a break. First is central sector schemes. Simple aspects. First is what? 100% fund by Government of India. Implemented by Government of India. Then in other words, states is no share. Then mostly on, there's no rule, union or concurrent list. Fine. Example, very famous ones, MP lads, BharatNet, Namami Gange, etc. Centrally sponsored schemes, concurrent or state list, shared between Government of India and states, 70-30 or 80-20, mostly. Sometimes it can be others also. This is normal states. 90-10. Now this is for whom? Not necessarily Northeast, special category states. Who will implement? Implemented by states. Of course, the very famous schemes, Narega, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, Ayushman Bharat, so many are there. Most of them are centrally sponsored schemes. Fine, and then you have tied grants, untied grants, flexi funds, all those things. Just broadly keep it in mind. Rationalization of centrally sponsored schemes. Concurrent list, state list, shared between Government of India and states, implemented by states, 70-30, 80-20 for normal states, 90-10 for special category states. Narega, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, Ayushman Bharat, etc. And then concept of tied grants, untied grants. Keep that in mind. Tied means what? Government of India will put certain condition. Untied means no condition, you have the autonomy. Recently, untied grants have increased. Just keep that in mind. Okay, that is broadly. You still have few points under again, because you have kind of prelims angle also there in which one? Confrontational federalism also you have some few prelims point. Competitive federalism also you have few prelims points. We'll discuss only from prelims perspective. Yeah, take a break now. Come back by half an hour or 45 minutes, 3:45, and then we can continue for another 2 hours. Huh? 3 o'clock? Yeah, that's what. Come back by 3 o'clock. I thought there's some other class or something. 3 to 5 will continue.